Right then, people, we're back inside the building. Welcome back to Trickstar Radio. This is Breakfast with KXVU. We're live inside the building, out to all the locked-in crew each and every time. Right about now, we're jumping into today's special Friday interview. We don't normally do interviews on a Friday, but you know what? I thought we're definitely going to have to get this one in. We're going to have to make space for it. Man like Nightlight is in the building. How are you doing, sir?
What's up, man? Hope you're good, man. What's up, Brighton?
Let's go, baby. Let's go. We're inside the building. Man like Nightlight joins us this morning. I've been looking forward to this one for a hot minute. Obviously, you're not based in Brighton anymore, but obviously you were based in Brighton for a long period of time, and we did originally have this interview set up, I think, for March, I think it was, and obviously then a load of madness happened, and we're now in the position we're in. But it's good to have you on the show, man. How are you feeling?
Yeah, man, not too bad. Just up in these early hours like I usually am.
That's what we like to hear, man. So are you normally an early bird?
Yeah, man, early bird gets the worm, as they say. But I believe a morning routine, you can do so much more in your day than you can within the evening or afternoon. Like, people underestimate how much time we actually have in the mornings. I actually wake up at like 6 a.m. and start my day around then.
I mean, I can't lie to you. I completely agree with you. Obviously, I'm up at a similar sort of time to come in and do this show every day. But definitely, there is something about being up early that I feel.
It's a miracle.
Yeah, I feel it just kind of motivates you to use the time more.
Yeah, definitely. I'm actually reading a book called Miracle Morning, and it actually solidified why the morning is such a time for opportunities,
Definitely. No, I agree. I completely agree, man. I completely agree. Okay, cool. So what we're going to do is, obviously with this show, we get a lot of different guests in from a lot of different backgrounds, different sort of genres, different areas of the music industry and events and everything in between. So what I wanted to do today is to kind of get a bit of background on yourself for those who aren't aware of what you do. So for those who aren't aware of what you do, how would you describe the Nightlight sound?
The Nightlight sound. A lot, this is a big question I get asked a lot, what kind of music do you do? And I've formulated an answer now which I can use with many people. It's gotten to that point. So I perceive music as art, and as art, an artist wouldn't limit themselves to one canvas or one style or one color. So I perceive it as art. So therefore, if I perceive it as art, I try and use my moods as fuel towards my music, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
So if I'm in a particular mood, I'll make a particular song. So whatever mood I'm in, it will be depicted within the music.
Okay, cool. So very much, well, this is the thing, something I was going to kind of ask about, because there does seem to be a lot of emotion in the sort of sound you make, not necessarily just within the lyricism, but the general kind of composition. There always seems to be a lot going on musically. There always seems to be a lot of emotive kind of harmonics going on with the way you build the music you make. So would you say you are quite an emotional person, especially in the way that you kind of put it into music?
I believe as a person, if a man is emotionless, then he doesn't know himself. As humans, we all have emotions, and if we can't cater our emotions or even care for ourselves more than we tend to care for people more than we care for ourselves. And sometimes we need to look the other way and actually cater our needs. Sometimes you must be in a good mood or bad mood, but it's like this. In life, we are put in many different rooms with many different people, and over time, when you're in the rooms, then people start understanding who you are, or start labeling who you are, when really only you know who you truly are.
Of course, yeah, no, I agree with that, man. It's a good way of putting life, I think.
I mean, but don't put it there, because then you become to limit yourself to only what people perceive of yourself, when really only you know the true you.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
No, I completely agree, man. I mean, the thing is, there's always so much going on inside our own heads, and you can never truly know what someone else is thinking, can you? So I think it's quite an interesting way of putting it, because obviously looking into, you are what you are perceived to be at the end of the day. The world is what we perceive it to be.
Exactly.
So it's quite an interesting way, and it kind of opens up the kind of question with what you do as well, because the other thing I did notice about a lot of the stuff that you've been making, not even necessarily recently, but over the sort of course of the entire time that I've been aware of what you're making, there does seem to be a real kind of, not ethereal, but there seems to be quite a lot of spirituality in the approaches you take.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. One of my friends actually recently told me that my music reminds him of war cries.
In what sort of sense?
Like, do you know before you go to battle?
Yes.
And you have your war cries.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was like, yeah, okay, that's a way to put it.
So with this then, obviously being such a performer who I want to say is in touch with not necessarily their feelings, but in touch with who they are, and is able to translate that very well into a musical format. Like, when did you first start putting this into what you were doing musically? Has it been there since the very beginning?
I don't know if it's been there. I feel like it's been a journey, and I'd never say I've completed the journey. It's like I'm a student of life. I'm constantly learning. I wouldn't like just say, yeah, I've done it now. No, like I feel like I'm still reaching the peak, and I don't even want to see the peak.
Definitely, no. I mean, no, I agree. But the thing that
the peak sees me.
there's definitely this thing in life that I see with a lot of people. There's quite an ethereal conversation for a Friday morning, but you know what? I'm with it. I'm enjoying it. But I definitely feel there's almost like a bit of an obsession to kind of get to the sort of high point of life as soon as possible. But I've always kind of thought, like, when you get there, where do you go from there? Surely it's about the journey, you know?
Do you know what it is? It's like, this is the concept. It's like when people always think about, I want money. When you have the money, you're going to still think, I want money, because all you're doing prior wanting money is wanting money. So therefore, you're going to go into a vicious cycle of needing and wanting things, rather than if you thought, okay, I have this and this and this sorted. When I get the money, I can invest it into these alleyways. So it's similar in that aspect as well. Like, when you constantly want something, you ignore what you do when you get it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, man.
How you nurture its growth, because we're too busy trying to. It's greed, sadly enough. Like, we're going too deep on a Friday. So.
No, it's wicked though, man. I love having these sort of conversations. It's why I love doing this show, because we really, it's not just necessarily about the music people are making. It's about the people themselves, you know. And I do like diving into
insight.
Entirely. And something I've always said when I've done the interviews is the more you kind of understand about the musician, the more you understand the sounds they make. And obviously, that's something that I feel is very, very important. I feel who you are should be represented by the sounds you're making, and that's one of the reasons I was so keen to get you on this morning.
I appreciate that, man.
Of course, man. That's what we love to do. Let's we're gonna move things a little bit forward now, though. Obviously, we opened up with a track entitled "Solo Dolo," which is a very wavy piece, and it's a very good way to kind of kick off this conversation. What we're going to get into now, though, is a track entitled "Samurai." So, talk to me about this one. How did it come together?
So I've always been, since I was young, I've always been in love with the Japanese culture, the way of war, the way of art. Like, I've actually got a fashion label called Kenketsu, which translates into simplicity from Japanese.
Wow.
And yeah, I've always looking into their art, like the way they act, the way they're so simple but so effective. Like, no offense to any of us, but they dress better than us. They look better than us. Like, full stop. Like, there's no arguing about that. Like, and when you look at it in context, it's just simplicity. They don't do too much.
Interesting.
They don't overdo it. Like, so the way of the samurai is, this also goes back to my culture, because I'm from Sudan.
Okay.
And the first samurai was a black South Sudanese samurai. Okay. So he came down to, was it China or Japan? I can't remember, one of the two, sorry. And imagine this is the first time he's exiting the slave ship. One of the emperors stopped him because his build is like 6'8" or 6'7", and straight away they start scrubbing his skin, thinking that there's black ink on it, but really this is the first time they've seen a black man. So the way of a samurai is a lot more deeper than it is.
Yeah, of course.
But I don't tend to go to that depth sometimes.
It's an interesting story though, man. I wasn't aware that this was the story.
Yeah, man, and it just goes back to like the war between ninjas and samurais, and how it's always, ninjas always illustrate darkness. So they always illustrate night. And samurais, in my sense, illustrate light. So it's the balance between your night and your light.
Now that makes it make so much more sense now. It all comes full circle. That's crazy, bro. That's crazy. And this is the thing. Obviously, we're getting. I don't want to say we're getting a bit deep. This is the sort of conversation I love to have on just in general. But this has been a really, really insightful start to the show, man. We're going to get into this track now. This one is Samurai by Nightlight. He's inside the building. It's just gone 8:30 here. Keep it locked, people. We're live on the Big Bad Trickstar Radio. Don't go anywhere.
Breakfast with CubCamTV.
Trickstar Radio.